Yo, what is up, guys? I'm just doing a YouTube channel with me, my friend Gabe, and it is pretty much about NFL fantasy stats, updates, trades. Let me think. Situm, stardom, predictions, a bunch of that stuff, and pretty much this is kind of our week 7 predictions, Situm, stardom, and this is Gabe's slide, so take it away.
Right. Hello, guys. I hope your day's been going great. So first, for the NFL Week 7 15 sleeper starts, I have Chris Godwin going against Chicago. I like this matchup because Eddie Jackson is going to be taken on Mike Evans, although he's a safety, and they lost Kyle Fuller in trades and free agency during the offseason. I think one of those three receivers, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, or Mike Evans, is going to have a big week each week, and I think it's Godwin's time to step up. At number 2, I have Deebo Samuel. I think he'll get a decent amount of rushing points this week, maybe even a rushing touchdown, and I also think with the absence of Brandon Ayuk, usually he will do pretty well.
Especially with Kittle out as well, he will be their main target. There's not much more that they are going to look for besides Deebo.
That's a great point. At number 3, I have Christian Kirk. With DeAndre Hopkins not getting a ton of targets and Rondell Moore having on and off week, Christian Kirk, I think, will be there in the red zone more, and I think he's going to have a great week, especially going up against Houston. At number 4, I have T. Higgins. T. Higgins is bound to have a 25-plus point game within the next 3 weeks, and I think this is going to be a high-scoring game with the Bengals going up against Baltimore, and I think T. Higgins is going to be a big part in that shootout. At number 5, I have Miles Sanders. Although not having a good start to the year with the lack of Eagles' run game, I think he will have a bounce back week this week, and I think he will put up some touchdowns and some good receptions. At number 6, I have Chase Edmonds. I think he'll get more red zone targets since Kyler Murray will be rolling out a lot, and he's a little bit more of a pass catcher than James Conner is. At number 7, I have Tyler Higbee going up against Detroit. I like that matchup. Detroit's linebacking core is not very elite, and I think he's going to have himself a game. At number 8, I have Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is bound again to have a very good game against the New York Jets. Personally, I'm going to start him because Justin Herbert's on a bye week in week 7, and I think he's going to have a really good game. At number 9, I have Michael Pittman. He's definitely solidified himself as a wide receiver 1 on that really stacked Colts offense. Going up against San Francisco, it's not the worst or best matchup to be starting him in your fantasy league, but I can trust him to put up at least 15 points up this week. At number 10, I have Mike Davis. I think he's going to get a decent amount of red zone shares, and I think with the return of Calvin Ridley, Cordero Patterson's receiving points will go down, and that's pretty much all he's used for on that Falcons offense. At number 11, I have Henry Ruggs. The Eagles' safeties are extremely mediocre, and with Henry Ruggs' speed, he could burn those corners, especially with slow, old corners who are good coverers, like Steven Nelson.
But remember, they do have Darius Slay, who is still one of the top corners in the league. I wouldn't put him top 5, but he definitely is top 10, and Renfro is wide receiver 1, but they might swap Slay to Ruggs. So keep that in mind.
I definitely agree, but with the lack of speed on the Philadelphia's defense safety core, I think Henry Ruggs will get a couple deep shots, and most likely he will catch a couple of them, at least one. I expect decent things from him. I expect solid 16 or up. I think he does reach the end zone this week. At number 12, I have Corey Davis going against New England. This is a really not bad matchup, especially with New England recently losing Stephon Gilmore. And I think Corey Davis is going to have a good week because Well, I think he's just going to get a ton of targets, and he might even reach the end zone this week. At number 13, I have Michael Carter, a solid player. I think he's probably gonna reach the end zone if the Jets start to drive down the field, and I think he gets a lot of receptions this week. Definitely on my starting side for Sid'em Stardom. At number 14, I've got Dallas Goedert. I mean, most of this is just about the loss of Zach Ertz recently going to the Cardinals. And I do think that boosts his value, not just by a little bit, but by a lot. And I think he will shred the Las Vegas defense this week. At number 15, personally, my absolute start this week is Darrell Henderson. I think he has like 27 points in week 6. And I don't see him stopping, especially going against Detroit. It's gonna be the Darrell Henderson show. Hunter, what are your opinions?
Well, I agree with all of that, but heading on to mine, there were 2 people I definitely should have included in this that I didn't. Like, for instance, Hunter Henry, who's been getting a lot of targets. He's been getting a decent amount of touchdowns. But at number 1, I gotta go Christian Kirk. They're playing the Texans. As Gabe said, D-Hop has not been getting as many targets, and Christian Kirk is just going to continue to do well. At number 2, I have Tyler Lockett. I personally think that all of the, like, Lattimore and Marcus Williams are more going to be focused on DK Metcalf than Tyler Lockett, which is really going to leave Lockett to get open a lot. And at number 3, I have Hunter Renfrow, who's playing Philly. I understand Slay might be on him, but like Gabe said, there's also Henry Ruggs, who Slay might play on. And at number 4, I have Mike Davis. They're playing the Miami defense. They've been struggling to stop the run. And really every running back that's played against them has been getting a lot of fantasy points, yards, touchdowns. And at number 5, I have A.J. Brown playing against the Chiefs, who arguably have the worst defense in the NFL. I understand it's solid on paper. They have Frank Clark, they got Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, but they cannot get anything together. Coming off a 38-20 loss, and then they're going against one of the better offenses in the league, the Titans. I know they have Julio Jones and Derrick Henry, but A.J. Brown, he's only playing limited snaps. Who do they play this week? They play Buffalo. He's only getting limited snaps, and I think he's just going to do really well against Kansas City.
Also, with the possible absence of Julio Jones, that's going to be a raise in target shares this week, and I expect big things from him in week 7.
We also are filming this during week 6, so that's why I said that that A.J. Brown's playing Buffalo. Actually, we're filming this on Sunday. They play Buffalo tomorrow night. So we'll see how he does. I do think he will do definitely well in Kansas City. But at number 6, I have Jacoby Myers against the New York Jets. I mean, New England, they've been putting up decent points. Myers has been getting a lot of targets. I understand that Hunter Henry is going to get a decent amount of targets, but still, I think Jacoby Myers is going to maybe get 15 to 20 points. And then for number 7, I have Emmanuel Sanders. He's been getting so many targets, and C.J. Henderson, Dante Jackson, and Gilmore are most likely going to be watching Diggs. And you'll have somebody has to play on Beasley. And I just think that Emmanuel Sanders is going to have an amazing week. And at number 8, like Gabe said, I got Michael Pittman. He's bound to have a good week. He put up 22 against Baltimore, and they're playing the Niners. So I just think Pittman's gonna have an amazing week. And my absolute start, just like Gabe, Darrell Henderson, starting running back. He's been very good. He put up 22 week 6, something around those lines, against the Giants, and I can only imagine what they're going to do to Detroit. At number 10, I have Josh Jacobs. He did very good week 5. I forget, they played the Bears. He did very good week 5. And I think against Philly, he's just going to do even better. At number 11, I have DJ Moore. Though they've been using the run game a lot, DJ Moore, 2 weeks ago, he did come off a 30-point week. And then he's put up like 5 and 10 or 5 and 6. So I think this week's just going to be his week. They're playing the Giants. So yeah, and at number 12, I have Jalen Waddle, who just put up 30 points against Jacksonville, and they're playing Atlanta. So I think Waddle's just going to have an amazing week. And at number 13, I have Michael Carter, who's playing New England. Though their defense is pretty good, the loss of Gilmore definitely did affect them. And I think Michael Carter is just going to have an amazing week. At number 14, I have James Conner. Though they have Chase Edmonds, Conner is getting a lot of red zone carries. He has put up, I think it was week 3, he put up 20, and then week 2 he put up 18, I believe it was. I'm not 100% sure though. And then 15, I have Deontay Harris, one of the more underrated receivers in the league, especially playing Seattle. I believe he is the Saints wide receiver 1, replacing Michael Thomas because he's injured. Michael Thomas will come back soon. I think this season he's returning. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But they're playing Seattle defense, who, though is good on paper, isn't very good in general. And I just think Deontay Harris is going to have a great week.
I think that's actually a solid list. Definitely a couple similarities there with Michael Carter, Darrell Henderson, Michael Pittman, Christian Kirk, and a couple other names.
Yeah.
One person I wish I put on that you did was Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, every time I feel like every time I turn the TV on to watch the Buffalo game, he's in the end zone celebrating. So I do think that he will be a big need to have in your lineup this week.
Another person that you debatably could add on there is Quez Watkins. He's been getting solid targets, and he's been kind of their deep threat receiver, and he's been getting a decent amount of touchdowns. So he's another person you could use.
Yeah, but I feel like he's the kind of... I agree and disagree with your statement, because I feel like he's the kind of guy to not really have... He's kind of like... Or Tunyon.
Yeah.
If he doesn't score a touchdown, he won't necessarily have...
He's touchdown dependent, just like Hollywood Brown.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a completely correct statement. If he scores a touchdown, I think he will have 15 plus. But if he doesn't, I think he's going to have around 7 or 8.
Yeah, so that's like...
It's kind of... It's debatable.
That's exactly like Hollywood, because if we're going back to week 5, they put on a show against the Colts. I mean, 10 targets, 9 receptions, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I understand he would have still put up around 21 points without the touchdowns, but without the touchdowns, he wouldn't have gotten like 50 or 60 yards from it, because half of those yards were just touchdowns.
Exactly.
And now to week 7, sit 'em, start 'em. For starting, we got Calvin Ridley playing against Miami. Again, their defense isn't good. They haven't been doing good. They lost Byron. They don't have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, which is the heart of their defense, the main factor of it.
Definitely.
So that... Go ahead.
And I feel like he'll get a decent amount of target shares if he plays. I know he's questionable as of right now, but I do think he will play, and I do think he will put on a show just because of the mediocre Miami defense and the targets that he's been getting, and I think he's bound for a 20-30 point game sometime soon, and this is one of the weeks to do it.
Yeah, and now on to Jalen Waddle. Like I said, playing Atlanta, just came off a 30-point week with 2 touchdowns. I just think he is currently in the best spot he's been this year. And though he's a rookie, with Devontae Parker out, I definitely think Waddle's going to have a year. And on to Darrell Henderson. they're playing Detroit. Detroit is not a good team. Their defense isn't good. They somehow lost to a 66-yard field goal. And the fact that Darrell Henderson just put up 22 against the Giants, he's just going to eat. He's just going to destroy Detroit. And now, same statement kind of with Michael Pittman. He ate Baltimore's defense. He did so good against them. 22 points. And they're playing San Francisco, where I think he's just going to have an incredible week.
And he's really solidified himself as the number one receiver. I mean, T.Y. Hilton's coming back soon. I mean, he was
back. He played today. Well,
I know, but he had a quad injury.
Yeah. And then our final stardom is DeAndre Hopkins. They're about at halftime in week 6, but he has 12 points, 3 targets, a touchdown, and like 45 yards. He just got targeted in the end zone, but it wasn't a great throw. And they're against Cleveland, who has Myles Garrett, who's going to get pressure to Kyler. They have Denzel Ward. They have a very good defense. And the fact that Hopkins is going to play against Houston, I just think this is going to be his breakout week this year, and he's going to put up maybe 30 points.
Definitely. Personally, I think out of the 3 wide receivers for Arizona, out of Rondale Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, and Christian Kirk, I don't think Rondale Moore is going to have an amazing game. I think he'll definitely get caught up, and I don't know if he'll get many targets this week. Also, Christian Kirk, as we said before, he's been getting more targets, and with the inconsistency of DeAndre Hopkins, I think he's gonna be the one to get a decent amount of targets. But I also do think DeAndre Hopkins will reach the end zone a couple times, which will definitely improve his fantasy points, obviously. So that's the stardom for
now on
week
the
7.
sit-em, Gabe, I'm gonna let you do this one.
Now on the sit-em, Odell Beckham Jr. This guy has been a roller coaster throughout the past 3 years. Is he good? Is he bad?
Overrated. He's
Who
overrated.
the heck knows at this point? But I think people have to realize that the man is washed. He's not good. He is not good. He does not make a difference on the Cleveland Browns offense. Baker Mayfield is, pretty good so far in his career. But Odell Beckham Jr. is not making a difference in this Cleveland offense, and he will not play for much longer.
Maybe he might prove us wrong. I do think he is going to have a 20 to 25 point week. Every star receiver, well, Odell's not a star anymore, but every 1 or 2 receiver is going to have one very good week every year. It's a fact. I don't care who it is. Michael Thomas, he could come back and drop 5 every week, and then one week he could put up 40. You never know.
Definitely. But personally, this isn't just about week 7. This is about the remaining years of his career, and the man is washed.
Yeah,
you can't say anything but the fact that he's just not as elite as he was. And he's not that old, and that doesn't make him very good. If you're not out of your prime, he's not really out of his prime because he's not too old. But he's not making a difference.
No disrespect to Odell. I love Odell. He was amazing on the Giants. I think they're not giving him time to get better. I think he needs to go into training. He needs to he just needs to train a lot more, and then I think they can bring him back and give him a few games, see what he can do.
Not only that, but just keeping him out of trouble off the field. There were so many conspiracies about him doing crazy things I'm not gonna say during the off season. So I think he just has to clean up his act on and off the football field.
I 100% agree.
DeAndre Swift against the Rams. DeAndre Swift so far this week is a stud. I have him on two out of 3 of my fantasy teams, and I do not regret drafting him in. He is amazing so far. But against that LA Rams defense, it's going to be more of a reception game, and I think Jamal Williams takes over there. So I don't think DeAndre Swift will reach the end zone this week, and I don't think if he reaches the end zone, he might not have the best game, and if they go to the receiving running back point in the game, especially against that Rams good defense, Jamal Williams will take over. And he can possibly have a good week if the Rams don't shut the Lions out. All right. Hunter, have anything to say there?
I 100% agree. Swift is similar to Joe Mixon, which is next on this list.
Joe Mixon, but way more consistent and way more trustworthy to have on your team.
Well, I sort of disagree with that because the thing about Mixon is, for starters, he has more touches than Najee Harris, who Najee is probably the best rookie in the class. That might be the biased Steeler fan in me, but I just think Najee and Mixon are both very good. But if Mixon's going to get more carries than Harris, I definitely think Mixon is going to be a very good fantasy running back.
Definitely. I think if the Detroit game goes to the receiving side of things, Jamal Williams will take over and DeAndre Swift won't get many touches. Now on the other sit-em, Joe Mixon. This is practically the same situation. It's a really good defense that will transition less to the running back passing game. And in the running back passing game, although Mixon did catch a 30-yard touchdown today, I still don't think that he's the best receiving running back on his team. I don't think he's the best, and I think the running back 2 on that team is
The best receiving back.
He's the best receiving back, yeah.
I mean, he did just come off a 30-point week. He didn't do the best in the rushing game. Definitely the receiving saved them. I mean, 5 receptions, 55 yards, and a 40-plus yard touchdown. But he did have 18 touches with 94 yards. So take off the receiving. He had a bad week for Mixon. But I definitely think Mixon is good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the statistics say it here. Chris Evans is getting way more receptions than Mixon is. And I trust him more on the receiving side. So I think he will have a good week if this is a shootout. The Bengals-Baltimore game, which I do suspect it is.
In the Cardinals game, Hail Mary touchdown. Baker Mayfield connects with Donovan Peoples-Jones for about a 50 to 60 yard touchdown at the half. Just gonna put that out there.
Did that just happen?
Yeah, I will actually put this.
Oh my god.
I'll put this in the end of the video. I'll put that clip in the end of the video.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Oh my god.
No.
Donovan Peoples-Jones owners out there. They're running around.
That's the second touchdown of the game.
His second or the second?
Donovan Peoples-Jones, second touchdown
of the
game.
Oh my god. He's like the only player to have like 4 receptions and 4 touchdowns.
Alright, kids, get your waiver ready. Get your waivers ready.
Yeah. Everyone hopes they lose this week now because now they want that top of the waiver wire. Alright. Next week, DK Metcalf.
May I say, before you continue, Peoples-Jones has 28 fantasy points right now, and if he keeps this up, he's going to get 59.60.
What a game. All right, now, on the sit-em side, this is definitely one of the more debatable ones because it's not the fact that this player's bad, it's just each week, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, one of them is going to have a 25-point fantasy game, and the other one is going to have like a 6 or 7-point fantasy game. They're never both going to have 20. And I feel like people realize that personally, as a Tyler Lockett fantasy owner last year, I never benched him. But I was dealing with 37-point games, then 3-point games, then 9-point games, and then a flippin' 57-point game. I'll never forget that. So you can never rely on which one's gonna do well. Just statistically, going against the Saints, I do think Tyler Lockett will outplay DK Metcalf this week.
Now,
Agreed?
agree 100%. Yeah,
Alright.
Lockett's game where he put up 57 points. He had 20 targets, 15 receptions, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's an incredible performance. I will say Tyreek Hill did have a 66. He had 66 points last year.
Yeah.
I
But
forget.
Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek is Tyreek. He's going to put up 20. He's going to put up 5. He's going to put up 145. It's really weird. But, yeah, like last year, week 12 against the Buccaneers, Hill put up 66 points with 15 receptions, 15 targets, 13 yards, 269 yards, nice, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And now on to the final one. I'm going to let you do this, Gabe. Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard.
He's
I
an
mean,
interesting one. I'll say that.
I completely agree. You know, he's a good player. He's a really good player. I mean, he's put up 17 a couple times, 17 and up a couple times this year. It's just that Carolina defense, man. I mean, that secondary.
Especially the fact they got C.J. Henderson and Stephon Gilmore on the same team. I do think with Barkley
Plus Jerry
returning.
Chin.
Yeah, Barkley is going to have a great week this week. Their D-line is
If
pretty
Barkley
weak.
plays.
Or Booker, but their D-line is pretty weak besides Brian Burns. But other than that, their D-line isn't very good. And
Whoever the Giants running back is, if you have a running back problem, that's your first man up.
Yeah.
All right. So I just I feel like it's going to be more of a running game kind of way to go for the Giants this week. So obviously that doesn't mean many targets for Sterling Shepard. If he does reach the end zone, I say he gets a solid 13 points, which isn't terrible. But if he doesn't, I say he gets 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So
All right. Now
that's the sit-em stardom for NFL Week 7.
Now we're on our game picks, and we're going to go over most of these together. The ones we agree with, the ones we disagree with, we'll kind of explain. But I got Browns over Broncos, partially because Cleveland put up 42 against the Chargers, but they also did let up 42. And honestly, I just think if you're going to have Teddy Bridgewater as your starting quarterback, that says a lot about your team and the fact that it's not very good. Their offense is awful.
Yeah.
Their defense, top 10. It's great. Good defense. I just don't think they can stop the duo of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb if he plays.
Yeah.
But,
I completely agree.
yeah, now on to the Patriots. We don't have to say much. They're playing the Jets.
Yeah, and I mean it's Bill Belichick, so.
Yeah. Now, Ravens versus Bengals. This game really could go either way. I really do think it's who gets the first score. First touchdown.
I completely agree. If I was going to be honest, in one of the games where you're playing a team that's could beat you, but most likely won't, if you win the coin toss, I say you want it first. I say you want to, if I was the Bengals and I get the coin toss first though, I say I want it. I want the ball and I want to set the momentum for this game, especially in Baltimore. You need to, so I really, it's definitely it's just gonna depend on whether Lamar can keep a hold of that ball and whether the lack of turnovers for both teams. If whoever has more turnovers on the defensive side of things, I think will win the game. I think it just depends on how well they can keep the ball in their possession and get points on the board.
Yeah. And now on to Chiefs at Titans.
Oh, this is going to be a good game.
This is going to be a great game.
I have the Chiefs.
I 100% agree.
I mean, I feel like, it's a minor slow start of the year. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek
The Chiefs
Hill.
need to panic. Honestly.
Chiefs, definitely Chiefs. Chiefs, it's not really much of a panic yet because they're still most likely going to win their division. Knowing now that the Chargers blown out by the Ravens. it shows that maybe they're not that as good as people say they are.
I mean, yeah, but you could say that. The Chargers are legit, though. They definitely have
Definitely.
a chance at the Super Bowl, but that's all I'm going to say. Now on to Falcons at Miami. I don't really know if Miami got this anymore. I mean, this was after the loss to Jacksonville, but now looking back at it, they couldn't even get 25 up on there, and then they just literally let Jacksonville get 23, and they let a 53-yard game-winning field goal. I don't know, though. I still think the Dolphins can pull through, though with Ridley's return, it's going to be tough.
If that defense can hold up a little, and their offense, I will say, definitely can get points on the board. It's not like kind of the Steelers, I guess, who aren't really that always consistent with getting points on the board. The Dolphins, they can definitely get points on the board, but if they can prevent the other team getting points on the board, this game's as good as theirs.
Yeah, and now on to the Eagles-Raiders. I got Eagles.
Upset of Week 7 so
I got
far.
Eagles. I got Eagles.
Eagles, I mean,
100%.
they don't look like a bad team, and the Raiders, they don't look very flawed. And the Raiders, they're a good team.
They had an amazing
Very
start.
flawed.
Just like the Chiefs, but opposite. Chiefs had a bad start, and they're going to probably heat up soon.
Yeah.
Raiders had a great start and are slowing down.
Yeah. I think this team is slowly declining. I mean, John Gruden is now gone, so that's definitely a big factor. Is Derek Carr better than the Derek Carr we've seen his entire career? I don't know. Because, I mean, one week he beats the Chiefs, and then the next week he just doesn't show up.
Exactly.
Not, like, literally.
Well,
I think the Eagles are looking dominant in the receiving game, and maybe in the run game if they can kick off Miles Sanders. But that receiving game is astonishing, and that defense, it's not bad. Top 15. So, first upset of the week, Eagles over Raiders, honestly, and I don't think it's going to be a close game. I say the Eagles like 28, and the Raiders like 17. So, not that close of a game.
And now,
Cardinals-Texans.
it's a blowout. Cardinals are going to destroy the Texans.
Are they winning right now?
Cards?
Yeah.
They're up 23-14 at half. The Cards are going to blow out the Texans. Not a question.
Yeah, and
now
Taylor is gone, so.
Yeah, and now on to Niners and Colts. This game is going to be close. I think Pittman's going to have a good game, but I also think Samuel is going to do amazing. I mean, he's not touchdown dependent one bit, but
Yeah.
I will say he might have like a 200-yard game in like 3 touchdowns and like 20 receptions, or he could have like a 12 targets, 7 receptions, like 60 yards, and then like 5 rushes for like 75 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Whoa, that's a lot.
I mean, he's done it before. Who said
That is true. Our first disagreement so far.
Who said he can't?
Keep going.
I'm not saying he's going to do it. That's just an example of he could do it. You never know with Debo. He's great rushing and receiving.
I do agree with Debo Samuel and how he's a really good all-around player, kind of like Cordero Patterson, not as good of an all-around player. But our first disagreement of the week, I have the Colts, and it's not really that much into detail. It's not about the players. It's just the fact they have a better offense and they have a better defense. So I feel like it's just...
Well, with Wentz at quarterback, I will debate the offense. I think the Niners do have a better offense with Trey Lance starting. If they start Garoppolo, I definitely agree the Colts are better. But with Lance starting, I think Lance is phenomenal. I think they should start him for the rest of, well, as long as they can, honestly.
Yeah, completely agree.
He's their franchise quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, in my opinion, this is going to be a good game. Like, this is going to be a really good game. But if the Colts can stop the Niners a couple times, and they can consistently get points on the board like the Dolphins-Falcons game, I do see the Colts taking the win here. And
Yeah.
honestly, and I also could see the 49ers taking the win here.
All right.
It just depends on, I mean, I know this is football, but it really just depends on who can get more stops and points on the board.
Yeah, I accidentally clicked to the final slide. Don't mind that. But I got Giants over Panthers. Honestly, the Panthers are slowing down just like the Raiders. The loss of CMC definitely hurt them a lot. And I think Donald's a solid quarterback. I just don't think, especially with the return of Barkley, he's questionable, but is Danny coming back? Is Daniel Jones back?
I think so.
Yeah, well, with that return, Daniel Jones has been actually playing very good.
Yeah.
And I just think the Giants are going to take this week. Honestly,
You
now,
went for the. Oh, you go.
now onto the Packers and football team. Football team, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Heineke can beat Rodgers. I mean, look, McLaurin, he's kind of slowed down after that really good week. I mean, look, 2 weeks ago, week 4 or 5, week 4, he put up 31 points.
Yeah.
And then week 5 and 6, he put up 8 and 6.
Yeah, but you went for the Giants over Panthers, and I mean, I took the Panthers there. I just feel like they're the better team. But with the football team and Packers, you took the blowout. You took the surprise win for the Giants, and I feel like the surprise win this week for me will be the football team, just because I feel like, every week there's that game where you don't think the team is going to win, and the team wins.
Yeah,
So I feel like
I agree
this
with that
week,
statement.
I do think the football team can beat the Packers. They can. That doesn't mean they will, but they can. It's They're not incapable of losing them. Like, it's not like the Jets playing the Packers. The Jets and like anyone on that level is incapable of beating the Packers.
I
The football
100%
team
agree.
are capable of beating them. Just will they? They might.
Probably
they might
not, but they
That's
might,
the
like you said.
Yeah, that's the joyful. Okay, Lions, Rams.
We don't need to get into this. Lions are bad. Rams will win. Henderson's going to have a great week. Cup's going to put up like 40. It's just going to be a blowout. Buccaneers versus Bears. Honestly,
Bears did beat the Buccaneers the prior year.
I could see the Bears winning this. I'm just going to go with the obvious choice.
I completely agree. I could see the Bears winning this. It just depends on if the rookie can beat the GOAT,
Exactly. And then,
But the Buccaneers are a better team.
yeah. And then on to Saints Seahawks. This one was very, very hard. But with the loss of Russell Wilson, I think Geno Smith can't get the job done. They play the Steelers tonight. If they don't do well, they will not do anything against New Orleans. And I just think New Orleans is going to blow out Seattle.
Personally, I think the game legitimately depends on the game tonight. Because I feel like if the Seahawks can stay, because I personally, I know I'm a Steelers fan, but I personally feel like the
Pittsburgh
Steelers
can
will
get
win.
that.
I just feel like, without Russell Wilson and with that defense, but if Geno Smith can stay, not get blown out, maybe a 30, a 28 to 21 win, then I do see the Seahawks potentially beating the Saints. So I think it really just depends on what happens tonight. And that's my take for the Week 7 predictions.
Yeah, and now on to the final slide. Question of the week. Does the NFL team need to be bad at first to be good? Well, yes. Honestly, yes. Look at the 2016 Browns, I believe. Might have been 2018. 2017 Browns, my bad. 0-16, next 3 seasons, they're dominant. They made the playoffs last year.
And the year before that.
And the year before, well, No, they didn't. Not the year before.
Oh, wait, yeah, I'm thinking of this year's.
Yeah, and, well, they are arguably going to win the North, AFC North.
I mean, those Ravens do look good, though.
They look very good.
And speaking of the Ravens, though, here's the thing. Ravens with the 28th pick in the first round.
Get Lamar Jackson, and he wins an MVP 3 years later.
They take Lamar Jackson, and only a year later, because he was drafted in 2018, played the 2018 season with Joe Flacco, so obviously limited there. But then 2019, Flacco gets traded to the Broncos, and I mean, well, he's won MVP, gone to the AFC Championship, and gone to the playoffs each, assuming they go to the playoffs this year. Each year he's been playing since he's been a starter. So, and there's definitely multiple sides to this. There's the Lamar Jackson with the Ravens side, then there's the Bills side, absolutely atrocious team. Took Ed Oliver with the first pick, with the 5th or 6th maybe pick, and they took Josh Allen. Ed Oliver and Josh Allen, 2 first-round picks in 2 years. And, look at them now. Arguably the best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, does an NFL team need to be bad at first to be good?
Yes.
The answer is whether it's prospects. It's whether someone that they draft is good or not.
I 100% agree. You can finish what you're saying after this, but I want to hear your guys' opinions. I want to know what you guys think about this. I want to know whether you agree or disagree with us. And go ahead.
So I think the answer to this question, thoroughly, it's coaching and a little bit of luck.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, well,
likely you're gonna get a good player if you're bad, but Lamar Jackson went 28th overall, so.
Well,
So that's the answer.
Yeah, well, that is going to be the end of our video. We are probably going to try and upload twice a week, maybe sometimes Thursday, maybe sometimes Wednesday. We're going to be uploading every Tuesday, though, so stay.
And we'll be adding extra videos on big stuff, big trades, big signings, big upsets, all that kind of stuff.
All right, boys, well, that is about the end of this video. I really did hope you enjoyed, and peace.